Hi, it's Mrs. Cheney. I want to talk to you about using coffee to create your next painting. The whole concept behind this is that you're creating a monochromatic piece. I don't know if you remember back from painting class, but in painting you learn about monochromatic, meaning one color plus all the tints and shades of it. So you are going to do a painting with just the coffee, so you will have brown as your coffee, and it kind of makes an orangey brown like a burnt sienna color. So you will use that as your color. Darker, of course, would be more coffee, and lighter would be less coffee and more water. So you're shading it very much like using watercolor. Hang on a minute, I gotta close my blinds. I got some funky glare going on under the camera. I think that's better. I got this coffee at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree sells this instant coffee. This is Folgers brand. It doesn't matter what brand you buy. It can be the knockoff Clover brand that they carry or Always Save. It doesn't matter. But the point is it has to be instant coffee. Okay, instant meaning you're supposed to just add this to water and drink it. I think it's rather nasty. It is not the kind that you brew. It comes in these little crystals. You have them in a bag in your pouch. You have a little baggie of these crystals, okay? These coffee crystals. And it smells very much like real coffee. So I put some on a little lid here. You can use your palette. You need a cup of water and a paintbrush. You are going to use the coffee and you're going to add water and it will slowly mix in with the coffee, okay, to create a watercolor stain. So more coffee, less water makes different values on your painting, okay? So here's the coffee with quite a bit of water in it. And then if I let it sit a minute and it gets darker, okay, then I have a, darker value. And you can let this watercolor dry for a little bit and then add more on top to make it even darker, okay? And then of course to make it lighter, you would have more water, okay? So you've got this value scale going on. Now I want to talk about something else. I've done this with classes before, and there is something that you can do to more or less cheat, okay, with your water, with your coffee. Of course, if you think of it like watercolor, you could add black to it. This is India ink. Okay, it comes in this little container. This happens to be Blick brand. It's really old. Here's a Speedball ink. You could use that. You need the tiniest little drop of ink. Okay, so if you happen to have ink at home, you could add a little watered down ink to your coffee. And then you would get a dark brown. Okay, obviously. Now you don't want it to be solid ink. Solid ink comes out black. You don't want that. But you can make it, you can get some more contrast by adding a little ink to your coffee. So that's one thing you could do. Now, if you don't have ink at home, here's another option. This is Apple Barrel acrylic paint picked up from Walmart. So you could use the tiniest little bit of acrylic. Okay, I'm squirting that out beside my coffee. I need to make some more coffee over here. Adding water. I could take a tiny bit of the acrylic and mix it in. Let's put this over here so you can see the difference. Okay, so that's the acrylic mixed in with the coffee, and that's the dark brown that that's going to make. Not much different from the India ink, to be honest. Okay, another cheat, you could use watercolors. Okay, this is a cheapy set. I could take black watercolor, I could add it to my coffee, same thing. Black watercolor added to coffee. All right, now let's let this dry a little bit and we will come back and do some comparisons. Now, if I slide over to this PowerPoint presentation, we are looking at examples of pieces that students have made over the years. So here is a little teacup or coffee cup per se, and it is painted, I believe, in India inks. You could use watercolors there, but it is spilling out and the coffee is made into this octopus. Thought that was kind of interesting. Here is an Aboriginal design that was done with black ink and coffee. And yes, some little white acrylic paint was put in there. I know some of you have white paint pens, so that's an option. Here's a bird. You can see little hints of white down here. A skeleton. Love the football player. Very good one. Some boots. This one has great contrast. Look how dark the dark is. Well balanced with mediums and lights. Very monochromatic piece created with coffee. It smells really good too. That one's got super duper darks. That one as well. Okay, those were all done by students. Now we're getting into some that I found off the internet. I like this, the coffee cups set on top of the piece. Nice piece. Some more internet pieces. So if you Google paintings with coffee, these are the things that are going to pop up. But what they all have in common is they have a range of darks, mediums, and lights used in with the coffee. Now let's flip back to our dried piece here, and you can see the gradient that is created with the coffee. Now here's something that's going to happen to you. The coffee does puddle just like watercolor, and in this area it might dry darker. But you know what? That's the beauty of coffee. Here is the one with the India ink. Here's straight water or straight India ink. Here's the one with acrylic, okay, and here's the one with watercolor. Not looking a whole lot different. Here's one that I did a couple days ago, and you can see the puddles that I'm talking about and the spots. So don't expect perfection with this, because if we go back to our examples here, another thing that I want to point out to you is that coffee splatters. And that natural bit of coffee, where's that skull? See here, the puddles that were formed, okay? And that is the beauty of working with this coffee. You don't know what you're going to get.